Hey y'all, today is National Girls and Women's in Sports Day, and today I'm going to be talking about my journey in volleyball. So, today, National Girls and Women's in Sports Day is kind of brought to me today with a little bit of a heavy heart. I usually, on these days, would be so appreciative and so honored to be a girl or woman in sport, but today, since retiring, I kind of just feel a little heavy today about it. I think I'll always be a girl or woman in sport, but obviously I am no longer playing. And yeah, it's a little heavy for me today. Just kind of grieving that identity, just kind of grieving the fact that I'm no longer playing. I think that my journey to no longer playing was not exactly how I envisioned. And I think that, as I'm transitioning and moving into different things in life, I think I sometimes still deal with the feelings of kind of not feeling like I was able to close the chapter in a way that I would have envisioned. And I was definitely having those moments where I was questioning if I was good enough. So I started playing volleyball when I was a young girl. I was playing basketball, hurt my back, and my mom told me that she did not want me to do physical contact sports anymore, so she moved me to volleyball, and I hated it from day one. I hated it. But I am a little crazy and I like to be really good at everything that I do. So even though I hated it, I also probably hated it a little bit because I wasn't that good at it. So I began playing club at 14, wasn't playing, 15s, wasn't playing, and then 16s was my first year of starting and playing the whole time. And that year, my team won the national championship. So obviously, the sport was rewarding and I fell in love with it. I decided to commit to the University of Pittsburgh. It was kind of just a random thing. I really didn't understand the process. My family was never like a sports family. Always very educational. Do your school, go to grad school, get a scholarship through academics. So we never really saw too much or understood the sports world. And so when I made my decision, it was completely off of a gut feeling. And it was one of the best decisions that I've made to date. I would not be half the woman I am today without that program and without the experiences that I had at Pitt. I had such a cool and historical career at the University of Pittsburgh, and again, just so grateful to be a part of a team like that. Again, like I said, I was very academic driven. I was not really knowing that you could play sports in college. And then when I got my scholarship, I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, once I'm done with school, I'm just gonna go to grad school. So sports was a vehicle for me. I played, had a really good career at Pitt, and then it was my fourth year, and this was back during COVID time, so we all got an extra year, and I chose not to take mine. I was just tired of it. I was just tired of volleyball. I was burnt out. I was just over a lot of the dynamics in sport. I was just over it. I just needed a break. I wanted to figure out my life. I don't know why I was so pressed to figure out my life, but I ended up getting a job in a law firm in Pittsburgh, so I was still near the girls, still around the coaches, and then around March, the coaches were calling me and asked me to come back, and I wasn't sure, but I also was hating my life. I was hating the 9 to 5 days. I was hating everything. Like, my body was just rejecting it in every way possible. And I was like, okay, well, I don't really know what I'm doing, so why not? I came back and had an interesting year. I think that year I made some of the closest relationships that I'll have in life. That year I met a lot of forever friends. But that year I also started the season with, I don't know what I tore in my knee. I tore something in my knee. And going into the season, I had stress reactions in my shin, so a lot of pain throughout my fifth year season. I was hurting. I was taking all of the drugs because I was in so much pain. And then we finished the season, lost in another Final Four, and then I got drafted. I got drafted to play in Atlanta, and that was again unexpected. And I was like, okay, like, God, I'm seeing where you're taking me. I got there, I was playing really well, and then I got released. I was so confused. I was so distraught. I was feeling it in my stomach a couple weeks before it had happened. It was such an eerie feeling because when you have discernment, oh my Lord, people don't really talk about knowing something is going to happen before it happens, but it's like a mixture of like, okay, like let me just stay positive, but at the same time, I just felt it in my stomach that something was going to happen. So I got released, and I just remember asking for numbers, trying to understand why I was being released, and I felt like I was being gaslit. They were like, "You've done nothing wrong. Like, you've been playing so well. We just want experience over talent right now," which was really confusing because they drafted me in the first round. So, again, just a really odd experience. I left Atlanta. I drove home at like 4 a.m. I was a mess. Okay, I was a mess. I did not understand anything that was going on. I don't know. I can't even tell you what was going through my mind. I was just not well. I packed up my room and left within 10 hours. Took like an 8-hour drive home straight. I don't think I stopped once. And I was just thinking. I got through halfway of my drive, and one of the assistant coaches called me and said, "We made a mistake. I don't know why we did that. I don't know why this is happening. I'm so confused." And I just was like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to feel. It was just a really weird, a really weird experience for somebody fresh out of college. And again, I just was really confused. There was really not much more. I was like, well, I'm released, so I don't really know what this conversation is really going to do. Mind you, this is somebody on the coaching staff. So really odd situation. I got home. Your girl was not well. I think I can say in hindsight I was probably very depressed. Wasn't getting out of bed, and then I got a call from Orlando. That was a really weird interaction. It was really odd. In hindsight, I feel like maybe they had thought that they had to pick me because I was coming down the chain line, and then when she picked me, she realized that she didn't need me, so then released again. I get called by San Diego, so I didn't even make it there. I was still in Ohio while all of this was happening. I get called up by San Diego, and everything went well. I got over there. I met them in Vegas. They were in the middle of a lot of stuff, so I like walked into a team, new people, super confused still about everything that's going on, and they're having some turmoil on their team, and I was so stressed, and I cried. I cried. I was fighting my tears, and one coach there was so sweet. I'll never forget him. I just feel like it was like a little angel in the moment. He just acknowledged everything that I was feeling without me having to say anything, and I just felt so much comfort knowing that I had somebody like that there. And so we were in Vegas. We flew back to San Diego. I had a entrance physical. I get to the entrance physical, and I was telling her about how I think I've had a stress reaction in my shin since last May, and yeah, I just have really bad shin splints. And so she was like, since May. And I was like, yeah, like I just take meloxicam. It's been pretty bad lately, but I just have been really massaging it, and yeah, it doesn't feel great, but I only have a couple more months of season left, and then I can rest it. It's probably just really inflamed. And she was like, let's get an x-ray. And I said, okay. So I'm sitting in the room, just like twiddling my thumbs, ready to go explore San Diego. And she comes in and she was like, "Did you know your leg was broken?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" "What do you mean my leg's broken? And so, yeah, basically my leg was broken. I don't even know what grade it was. It was enough that rest was not enough for the stress fracture to be healed. I had to have surgery. So, got released that same day. This is all in a matter of a week, you guys. Flew home with a boot on my leg. Yes, talk about depression. I was not well. I did not get up out of my bed for maybe 2 weeks. No food. Like, just piles of clothes and suitcases. I was just not well. And within that same week, I had lost my best girlfriend. We had a falling out. And then the guy I was talking to unfollowed me, removed me on Instagram, and posted that he was having dinner with his girlfriend of 2 years. This is in a span of 1.5 weeks, you guys. I was like, oh, so the universe is trying to conspire against me right now. Like, life is over. And so I stayed in my bed for 2 weeks, and I just kept hearing this nudging voice in my head to, like, get a devotional, just get a devotional. I was so mad. I was so angry. I was so angry with life. And so after 2 weeks, I got one. I started reading, slowly started crawling myself out of what I was going through. Was hanging out with my friends. Did not have great coping skills at the time, that's for sure. And then in May, I had surgery. It was another time that kind of brought me down. The resources for us to really train in an off season and just make sure we got the care that we needed was not that great. So I basically rehabbed myself. I signed with Indy. I was training. I was working my butt off, man. Like all day, every day, double days on my own. Got to Indiana. We had training camp. I was one of 2 middles. And, right, fresh off of a surgery, she had surgery as well. And we were just jumping on concrete for like 10, 11 days as a middle. It was just a lot. I ended up making the team. Was super happy, super excited, super grateful. Just felt really good. I was like, thank you, Jesus. Like, I worked hard. I'm here. I made a team. Like, let's go. And then I just was, I'm feeling good about the being on the team, but something just fell off. My routines, my days after I would come back from practice, I just didn't want to leave my bed. I didn't want to leave my room. I'm like, shoot, like something wrong with me. And again, in hindsight, I read my journal and I was not well. You would have thought I was in a war zone the way I was talking to God. As the season was going on, games were up and down. I and some of the other girls on the team had thought that some changes needed to be made. And we were just kind of trying the same things over and over again, and they weren't exactly working. So I had asked why I wasn't playing and like how I can play, and they told me that numbers were meh and that I needed to get better at blocking and some other stuff that was like, pretty much like strengths in my game. And so I went back and looked at my numbers and brought them back to him, and I was like, wait, you said that I need to improve in these areas, but I'm doing fairly well, so why am I not playing? Then he was like, you'll get your shot, you'll get your chance. And I said, okay, I'll just be patient, I'll wait. I think that following week we had a game in Orlando, and our coach at the time decided to yell at all of us. Very unprofessional, very childish, and was yelling at a player as well. And just yelling all sorts of things that, like, I didn't understand, and a lot of us didn't understand, and felt like we needed clarity on to move forward so we're on the same page. And so he had apologized. We had a meeting that following week. And honestly, this is where I think I went wrong. We had a meeting that following week supposedly about the incident that had happened. And I thought that I thought that we were actually going to talk about it. And so we started talking about like ticketing sales and promotion. And I was like, I felt like I was being like gaslit. I was like, wait, I thought we were going to talk about that. Like, you said some things, and I'm like, I want us to win. Like, let's address those things so we can all be on the same page. So I was asking him questions about some things that he had said, and I don't think he took too well to it in front of the group setting. And it was interesting because after that, it's not like I was like speaking just on behalf of my own feelings. The rest of the girls were also like, I'm so glad you said that, blah, 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 blah. But then a few days later, I was put on practice squad. No explanation. I asked why. He was like, you just are. That's just what it is. And I was like, okay. The weekend finished. I was not in a good mood. I was not happy because it felt really wrong. So we go on a trip, we travel, we come back. And then that day we came back, he called me to his office, released me. I asked him why. Couldn't give me a reason. Couldn't give me a real reason. Asked for numbers, couldn't give me any of that. It was just really weird experience. I left. I was really distraught again, but not as bad as the first time. I was just thinking, reflecting, asking my other coaches, I'm like, what's wrong with me? Just kind of in that catastrophizing stage. And I got some reassurance and some honest feedback from other coaches. I just think I was in a utopia at Pitt where we could have honest conversations. You could ask your coach questions for clarification, and he wasn't offended by it. And so, yeah, real world experience of not everybody's like that. And I was like working out for like a week, just in my own world, trying to, again, understand and make sense of all of this. And then I get a call from Love, LOVB, and I signed with Love Omaha. And then I feel like I finally got like a real pro experience. And I just remember asking God in the week before, like the little week I had between the leagues of, okay, Lord, I don't know. I'm feeling very rejected by this sport right now. Like, I just feel like I just don't feel super aligned here anymore. And just let me play one more time. I was like, I just want to play one more time. It's been since I graduated, so it's 2025, and it's been since December 2023 since I've played in a game. And I was like, Lord, I just want to play in a game. And so I got picked up by Love. I think I got there, I had maybe a practice or two, and then I played. Yeah, I had a practice or two, and then I played in a game that following week. So maybe I was there for like 4 days. Played in a game. Really, the first point in my pro career was this massive block. Felt so good. And then by the time I got there, I was not up to speed. Because I hadn't really been coached since 2023. And then along with surgery, I was not the same playing wise, mentally wise. I was not as confident. It makes me sick to think about. But that's just the truth. I was not, especially at the level that Love was playing, I was not up to that level at that point. I held my own, but it's not enough to just hold your own. You have to be able to score and like create some direct points, and I don't think I was doing that as efficiently as I know I could. So that was hard. Then my girl Sammy came in and she killed it. She did so well, and she was playing, and me and her were getting along so well. So she was definitely a highlight and my saving grace in that time. We both were in our own little worlds, just in Omaha trying to figure out our lives. And yeah, I appreciate Sammy, another little angel in my life. And then season was over. We got second. Again, there was also such a cool experience to be around like some world champions and some Olympians because it was just real pro ball, you know, how they handled themselves, the way they communicated with each other. I was like, okay, like now I feel like I'm getting a professional experience. I feel like in the other league, I felt like I was like still in college, maybe even maybe high school. At Love, I definitely felt that pro atmosphere. I mean, they're doing it well. They are doing women's volleyball in America so well. I think that the benefits, there's just so many aspects of it that it's like, yes, you guys thought this through, and this is a safe place for women's sports to really evolve. And I just thought they had such cool little perks about them. We got Revolve gift cards. We got sets from banks. Like I'm like, you guys are doing women's sports well. Shopping, clothes, they know what they're doing over there. Season was over. I was talking to my agent, and I was in a weird place still, just kind of like, I just need some space. I don't know if I want to play. I don't know if I can play. I can't mentally afford to have another season anywhere close to that. But mind you, both of the teams I was on from Atlanta and Indiana, both coaches got fired immediately after the seasons were over. So I needed a good experience. And I was talking to Fish, and I was like, I didn't want it to end that way. And I was really struggling because I'm like, I don't want to have a bad taste in my mouth about volleyball. And I just remember he had dropped some wisdom on me. He was like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was to the matter of like, if you are playing simply because you don't want to have like a bad ending, then I don't think that you're playing for the right reason. And I was like, okay. So I took a couple months off. I tried to start training in July. First day back, got blasted in the head by a dude straight to the dome. I was knocked out for maybe like 30 seconds, blacked out type of. I've never got hit that bad in my life. And I remember I was crying. I was just so emotional. I was crying, and I was like, I hate volleyball. And I was like, I am not feeling good about this sport right now. And so, again, I took more space. I traveled. I played some grass volleyball in Hawaii, and I was just not having it. I was just not having it. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't like this. I don't like this anymore. And I was just stressing on the internal. I mean, I was playing and all that stuff, but on the inside, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this anymore. And so I was venting to a friend about it who plays, and I was just like, I just don't feel motivated. I don't feel driven, and it's not like me. Like, it's really just not like me. Like, when I want to do something, no matter if I wake up and I don't feel like doing it, I do it regardless. I'm a very disciplined person, so I was so confused. I'm like, I just don't do it. Like, I just won't go. I won't play. And she was like, well, ask yourself this question. If your seasons didn't go how they went, would you still want to play? And I said, of course. If everything went well, of course I'd want to play. And she was like, okay, then there's your answer. Don't just like give up because it's not going well. And obviously in the moment I'm like, okay, shoot, you're right. But then I thought about it more because like, when it's like, take the meat and throw out the bones. I was listening to what she said, and I'm like, yes, that sounds like the exact advice to give somebody who's like going through what I'm going through. But then at the same time, I was like, nope, that's exactly right though. I'm the type of person of whether it's going well or it's going bad, if it's something that I really want to do and I feel aligned with and I feel passionate about, it doesn't matter whether it's going good or bad. I stay the course. So it was kind of what she said kind of like helped me in reverse. I'm like, I don't have the love for it anymore to endure. And that was hard. That was a hard realization. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not being lazy. I'm not being unmotivated and undisciplined. I just don't want to do it anymore. And so I was talking to my agent, and by this time it was maybe August. So clearly, I don't know if you guys know, but just like the windows of different markets are closing. And I told him, I'm like, the only way I could feel good about playing again is if I was in the environment, like if I was in a different country and if I was getting the pay that I wanted. And so I told him my country, I told him my pay. He told me that the market for that closed in like April. And I said, okay, well, you don't have to bring me any more offers. This is what I want. If it doesn't come, it doesn't come, and I'll move on with my life. If it comes, I know that my story and journey is not over in this sport. But if it doesn't come, I don't feel like playing anymore. So then I started applying to grad school. I got my LLC, and I was still on the fence. I was still in between. I was still debating. I was like, okay, maybe I could go to this country for this price and see what's going on. And I was honestly just waiting for acceptance until I hate to say dream school because dream school, but I was waiting to get into this master's program that I really wanted to get into. And then I got the email that I got into Northwestern, and then I kind of just said, I'm going to put a pause on this. And so I just kind of am focused on school, focused on launching this business, and just kind of seeing where this new journey takes me. I think I've had good days, I've had bad days, I've had days where I was coaching girls and I was like, damn, I'm never gonna like block a ball again. I'm never gonna hit a ball again. And just like that feeling, the girls who know, but just that feeling of like a massive block or a big kill and like cheering and closing your eyes and screaming and jumping, like just that adrenaline. I just won't get that again. I mean, obviously you can get it in different ways in life, but nothing can replicate that, and being on a team, like, nothing can really replicate that experience. And so I was having days where I was just grieving that and being like, wait, so I'm really not going to do that again? Like, definitely that. I think being done, I always see posts about, they don't talk about what it's like after when you're done being an athlete. I never really had the issue of the identity problem. I never really identified with being a volleyball player. I always felt like it was the least of my identities. It was just something that I did and something that I was pretty decent at. So that's never not been the struggle, but I think I am going through the physical struggle. I feel like I'm having like physical withdrawal from adrenaline, constant adrenaline. We worked out 30, 40 hours a week, and now I'm working out 10 to 12 if I can, an hour to 2 hours a day if I can. I still work out pretty hard, and I don't mind that. I don't intend to stop that until my body asks me otherwise. I definitely do tone it down a little bit more just because, side note, but I just feel like volleyball and just the hard pounding really created, and all the pain that I was feeling in my body, because even in these last 2 seasons, I was in so much pain. Again, another thing that had me thinking that this was not aligned with me anymore is my whole entire career at Pitt. Yes, I broke my pinky my freshman year, but outside of that, I was healthy. I was so healthy. And then in my 5th year, and then my first 2 pro seasons, I was in so much pain, and I was like, I literally have never felt pain up until now. So I think my cortisol was raised often, and I just felt overall puffy and swollen. So I've definitely been trying to figure out different routines to keep me not puffy. It's been fun working out and kind of training for the body that I want rather than training to like jump really high and be really strong. I still want to maintain strength, but it just looks different. I think it's tough. I think sometimes I have moments when I'm like talking to some of my teammates and I have to figure out a way to replicate this closeness in my real life because, I mean, again, you don't get that in day-to-day life. I mean, it's so beautiful and nice to be around a group of girls who are similar in a sense, and then like now you don't have that as much. I mean, I still have community, I still have a great support system, but again, just that closeness. That can be a little bit like, oh, some days. I mean, I don't really have time to think about it too much, but when I do, I'm like, oh, I need to find a way to make this be a part of my day-to-day life in the future somehow. Just this closeness and this tight-knit community type of feel. I think the heaviness I feel comes from, dang, what if I just tried one more year? You know, what would have happened? What if I didn't say anything to my coach? The Atlanta situation was God's work, because if I would have played another week in Atlanta on my already broken leg, I would have had a break that, you feel me? I would have had a break that went like that. So I'm glad I didn't experience that, because then I probably would have quit right then and there. I wonder, I'm like, oh, was I not tough enough? Was I not resilient enough? Did I not handle adversity well? And you just kind of have to sit with those questions alone. And there is no reality where I didn't say anything. There is no reality where I didn't feel the way I felt about volleyball to the point where I didn't want to play it anymore. There isn't a reality where I didn't have those experiences that led to that. So again, I have to sit with it. I want to get emotional, but I won't. It's just weird. I was in a phase of hating it. Then I was in a phase of loving it, missing it. I was so angry that my leg was broken. I was so angry that I broke a pinky. I was so angry about the different experiences that I had that were just not pleasant. I was like, what did I do all of this for? Just to be done? And then the other side of me, the more optimistic side, is I've learned so much. I have the life skills to take over the world, is what I feel, because of volleyball, because of sport. I got to meet so many cool people. I got to travel to so many different places. And I played at the highest level, you know. So I don't really have much other than that. I think, like I said, I do feel heavy, but grateful. Those two can exist at the same time. And so even though I feel a little heavy on this National Girls and Women's in Sports Day, I'm so grateful for the girls and women in sport, the ones in my life personally, and the ones that have forged a path for all of us. Women in sports is so beautiful. Girls in sports is so beautiful. I love watching people cheer and celebrate after they do something big. It just, it makes my heart feel so. I just love women who are fierce and powerful. It's the best thing ever. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. So within my whole journey and my transition and navigating life after volleyball, I have been creating and workshopping different programs for people who also are navigating and transitioning out of that volleyball identity, and just giving a space for discovery and alignment and figuring yourself out and dealing with the highs and lows physiologically, biologically, psychologically, mentally, emotionally. Like, there's just so many aspects of not playing sports anymore that I think is so interesting. And I'm navigating it right now. And I'm developing programs to be able to support people in that sort of scenario. I've also had male friends, women, just kind of all talk about the same things. And I think that there needs to be something for all of us, community-wise. And I think there needs to be some sort of support offered and some sort of structure offered, because at the end of the day, athletes have life skill that is super useful in this world that we have to partake in. And I think that sometimes we don't realize how transferable they are and how we can optimize them in real day-to-day life. So I definitely want to be able to emphasize that in the program that I'm creating for anybody who's really transitioning and entering into a new identity after stepping out of one that was there for a really long time. So